The Hollywood night sparkled like a diamond under the California sky, its glamour radiating from the heart of Los Angeles. The grand ballroom of the Roosevelt Hotel buzzed with the chatter of A-listers, producers, and industry insiders, all gathered for a charity gala that doubled as a showcase for Hollywood's elite. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across the room, reflecting off champagne flutes and sequined gowns. Amid the opulence, Julian Pierce stood alone near a marble pillar, his sharp blue eyes scanning the crowd with a practiced detachment. A white American in his early 40s, Julian was a Hollywood titan, a film producer whose name was synonymous with blockbuster success. His tailored black tuxedo hugged his tall, lean frame, and his sandy blonde hair was neatly swept back, though a few strands fell boyishly across his forehead. Despite his wealth and fame, there was a quiet loneliness in his posture. A man who had everything yet felt something was missing. The air was thick with the sense of expensive perfumes. Still, one fragrance cut through the noise, a delicate, intoxicating blend of jasmine, bergamot, and a warm, woody undertone that felt like a whisper of something eternal. Julian's head turned instinctively, his senses captivated. He followed the invisible trail through the crowd, weaving past laughing starlets and cigar-smoking executives, until he reached a quiet corner of the room. There, standing alone by a velvet curtain, was Sofia Alvarez. Sofia, an African-American woman in her late 20s, carried herself with a quiet grace that stood out in the ostentatious room. Her deep brown skin glowed under the soft lighting, and her tightly coiled hair was styled in an elegant updo, adorned with a single gold hairpin. Her emerald green dress, simple yet striking, hugged her curves without screaming for attention. She held a glass of untouched champagne in her hand, her dark eyes scanning the room with curiosity and caution. She was a stranger to this world of glitz, a perfumer whose talent had yet to find its stage. The scent that had drawn Julian was hers, a custom creation she'd crafted for the evening, a fragrance that told her story without words. "Excuse me," Julian said, his voice smooth, but tinged with genuine curiosity. "That scent you're wearing, it's extraordinary. Did you make it yourself?" Sophia turned startled but composed. Her eyes met his, and momentarily she hesitated, assessing him. "I did," she replied, her voice warm yet guarded. "It's something I've been working on, a personal project." Julian smiled, a rare, unguarded expression that softened his stoic features. "It's not just a scent. It's alive. It feels like it's telling a story. I'm Julian Pierce, by the way. Sofia Alvarez," she said, offering a slight nod. "And thank you. I didn't expect anyone to notice." "How could they not?" he said, leaning slightly closer, his interest unmistakable. "You're a perfumer, then? A professional one?" Sophia's lips curved into a faint smile, though her eyes held a trace of skepticism. "Trying to be. It's a harsh industry, especially when you're not in the usual circles." They fell into conversation, the noise of the gala fading into the background. Sophia spoke passionately about her craft, describing how she'd learned the art of perfumery from her grandmother, a woman who'd blended fragrances in their small New Orleans home. Julian listened intently, captivated by her words, and how her face lit up when she spoke of top notes and bass accords. He shared glimpses of his world late nights in editing rooms, the pressure of million-dollar budgets, but left out the emptiness that haunted his success. Julian lingered as the evening wore on, reluctant to let the moment end. Sophia, though wary of his charm, felt a spark of connection. They exchanged numbers, and as Julian walked away, the scent of her perfume lingered in his mind, like a melody he couldn't forget. The next morning, Julian sat in his sleek office atop a glass tower in Beverly Hills, the city sprawling beneath him. His desk was cluttered with scripts and contracts, but his thoughts were elsewhere. The memory of Sophia's fragrance consumed him. It wasn't just its beauty. It was the way it evoked something he hadn't felt in years. Hope, perhaps, or the promise of something real. His latest project, Starlit Dreams, a romantic epic set to be the summer's biggest film, needed something unique to set it apart. A signature scent he realized could be the key, a fragrance that captured the film's themes of love and longing. He called Sophia that afternoon, his voice steady but eager. "Sophia, it's Julian Pierce. I have a proposition for you. Can we meet Sophia in her modest studio apartment in Echo Park?" Hesitated. Her workspace was a sanctuary of glass vials, dried flowers, and handwritten notes, a far cry from the polished world Julian inhabited. She'd heard of his reputation, not just as a producer, but as a man who got what he wanted often, at the expense of others. Still, the sincerity in his tone piqued her curiosity. "Sure," she said. "Where and when?" They met at a quiet cafe in West Hollywood, a place with exposed brick walls and the scent of fresh coffee. Julian arrived first, dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark jeans. His casual attire a stark contrast to the tuxedo of the previous night. Sophia walked in, wearing a simple sundress, her hair in loose curls, a leather notebook tucked under her arm. They sat by a window, sunlight streaming in, and Julian wasted no time. "I'm producing a film called Starlit Dreams." He began, leaning forward. "It's about love that defies the odds, about two people finding each other in a world that tries to keep them apart. I want a fragrance to go with it, a scent that feels like the movie. And after smelling your perfume last night, I think you're the one to create it." Sophia's eyes widened slightly, but she kept her composure. "That's a big ask, Mr. Pierce. I've never done anything like this. My work is small-scale and personal. A project like this? It's Hollywood. It's huge." "Call me Julian," he said with a smile. "And I know it's a lot. But I've got a feeling about you, Sophia. Your scent last night, it wasn't just perfume. It was art. I think you can make something that'll resonate with millions." Sophia sipped her coffee, her mind racing. The opportunity was thrilling, but the stakes were high. Hollywood was a world of sharks, and she'd spent years building her craft in the shadows, free from its politics. "What's in it for me?" she asked, her tone direct. "I mean beyond the exposure." Julian respected her candor. A fair contract, complete creative control over the fragrance, and a percentage of the profits from its sales. Plus your name on the bottle. This isn't just about the film, Sophia. It's about launching you as a perfumer. She studied him, searching for signs of manipulation, but his eyes were earnest, almost vulnerable. "I'll think about it," she said finally. "Can you give me a day?" "Of course," he replied. "Take your time, but I hope you'll say yes." That night, Sophia sat in her studio, surrounded by the tools of her trade. She opened her notebook where she'd sketched ideas for new fragrances and thought of her grandmother's words. A good perfume doesn't just smell nice, it tells the truth. Could she tell her truth on a stage as big as Hollywood? And could she trust Julian Pierce, a man whose world was so different from hers? She spent hours blending oils, testing combinations that might capture the essence of Starlit Dreams. By dawn, she'd created a sample, a soft, romantic scent with notes of rose amber and a hint of citrus. It felt like love, like possibility. She smiled to herself, knowing her answer. The next day she called Julian. "I'm in," she said. "Let's make something unforgettable." Julian's face lit up on the other end of the line. "You won't regret this, Sophia. Can you meet me at your studio tomorrow? I'd love to see where you work." As she hung up, Sophia felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She was stepping into a new world, one where her talent would be tested, and where her heart might be too. Sophia's studio in Echo Park was a world apart from the glossy towers of Beverly Hills. Tucked above a small bookstore was a cozy, sunlit space filled with the tools of her craft shelves, lined with glass vials, jars of dried petals, and handwritten journals stacked in neat piles. The air carried the faint sweetness of lavender and the earthiness of vetiver, a testament to years of experimentation. Sophia stood at her workbench, nervously arranging her tools as she awaited Julian's arrival. She'd agreed to this partnership, but doubts lingered. Could she translate her intimate personal art into something that would dazzle Hollywood? And could she trust Julian, whose charm was as disarming as dangerous? Julian arrived promptly at 10, his presence filling the small space. He wore a tailored blazer over a white t-shirt, his casual elegance contrasting with the studio's bohemian charm. His eyes lit up as he entered the room, lingering on the rows of vials and the handwritten labels. "This is incredible," he said, his voice genuine. "It's like stepping into your mind." Sophia smiled, relaxing slightly. "It's my sanctuary. Every scent in here is a piece of me." They sat at her workbench, and Sophia shared her initial concept for the Starlit Dreams fragrance. "The film is about love that feels faded, right?" she said, pulling out her notebook. "I'm thinking something warm and romantic, but with an edge, like the tension of two people who shouldn't be together but can't stay apart. Rose for passion, amber for warmth, and maybe a touch of grapefruit for that spark of defiance." Julian leaned forward, his elbows resting on the table. "That's perfect. The film's leads are star-crossed, caught between duty and desire. I want the scent to feel like their story, beautiful, complicated, unforgettable." They spent the morning blending oils, Sophia patiently guiding Julian through the process. She was surprised by his curiosity, the way he asked about each ingredient, and listened to her explanations. "You're not what I expected," she admitted as they mixed a test batch. "I thought you'd be, I don't know, more detached, like you'd give orders and leave the rest to me." Julian chuckled, a low, warm sound. "I'm hands-on when it matters. And this matters. I've built my career on finding the right people and trusting their vision. You've got something special, Sophia. I want to see it shine." Their hands brushed as they reached for the same vial, and Sophia felt a jolt, her cheeks warming. Julian's eyes met hers, and the air between them crackled for a moment. She pulled back, focusing on the task, but the moment lingered. They fell into a rhythm over the next few weeks, meeting daily in Sophia's studio. Julian brought coffee and pastries, insisting they take breaks to talk about everything but work, music, books, their childhoods. Sophia learned that Julian had grown up in a small Midwestern town, his ambition driving him to Hollywood at 20. He spoke of long nights working odd jobs to fund his first film, a scrappy indie that became a surprise hit. Sophia shared stories of her grandmother, whose kitchen was her first perfumery, and her journey from New Orleans to LA, chasing a dream that often felt out of reach. One afternoon, as they tested a new blend, Julian noticed a small, worn photo tucked into Sophia's notebook. A young Sophia with an older woman smiling in a garden. "Is that your grandmother?" he asked softly. Sophia nodded, her fingers tracing the photo's edges. "She taught me everything. She used to say a perfume should feel like a memory you didn't know you had. I want to honor that with this project." Julian's expression softened. "You're doing more than that. You're creating something that'll touch people, Sophia, just like you're touching me." The words hung in the air, and Sophia's heart raced. She wanted to believe him, but the gap between their worlds felt vast. He was Hollywood royalty. She was an outsider still proving herself. She changed the subject, focusing on the fragrance, but Julian's words stayed with her. Their collaboration deepened, and each session was a dance of creativity and connection. Sophia looked forward to Julian's visits, his laughter filling her studio with warmth. But doubts crept in. She'd read the tabloids and seen the stories of Julian's past relationships. Actresses and models dazzled by his charm, only to be left behind when the next project was called. Was she just another project to him? One evening as they worked late, Julian suggested they take a break and walk to a nearby park. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the city. They sat on a bench, the scent of eucalyptus in the air, and Julian opened up about his life. He said, "I've spent years chasing success, staring at the horizon. But it's lonely at the top. I meet people, but finding someone who gets it is rare. Who sees the world the way I do." Sophia looked at him, her guard softening. "I know what it's like to feel alone in a crowd, but you've got all this fame, money, power. What's missing?" He turned to her, his eyes searching. Something real. Something like this. He gestured between them, and Sophia's breath caught. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed a text from an industry friend warning her about a rumor. Someone claimed Sophia's signature scent, which had caught Julian's attention, was stolen from a major perfumery house. The rumor was vague, but it was gaining traction online. Sophia's stomach churned. She showed Julian the message, her voice tight. "This isn't true. Every note in that perfume is mine." Julian's jaw tightened. "I believe you. We'll figure out who's behind this and shut it down. You have my word." As they walked back to the studio, Sophia felt a storm brewing. The fragrance was her truth, her legacy. But Hollywood was a machine that thrived on scandal, and she was about to learn how ruthless it could be. The late afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of Sofia Alvarez's Echo Park studio, casting golden patterns across the wooden floor. The air was a symphony of scents, floral notes of jasmine, the crisp bite of citrus and sandalwood's deep grounding warmth. Sophia stood at her workbench, her hands steady, as she pipetted a drop of rose absolute into a glass vial. Her dark eyes were focused, her tightly coiled hair pulled back with a scarf, a few curls escaping to frame her face. Across from her, Julian Pierce leaned against the table. His white button-down shirt rolled up to his elbows, revealing tanned forearms. His sandy blonde hair caught the light, and his blue eyes followed Sophia's movements with admiration and curiosity. The studio had become their sanctuary, a place where the chaos of Hollywood felt distant, and their collaboration on the Starlit Dreams fragrance was blossoming into something more. Over the past weeks, their partnership had deepened. Sophia's initial wariness of Julian, a white American film producer whose world of red carpets and power plays seemed so far from her own, had softened. His genuine interest in her craft, his willingness to listen, and the way he laughed at her dry humor had chipped away at her defenses. Julian, too, felt a shift. The emptiness that had shadowed his success for years was fading in Sophia's presence. Her passion and authenticity felt like a lifeline in a city built on artifice. Today, they were refining the fragrance's heart, notes the soul of the scent that would linger on the skin. Sophia held up a test strip, waving it gently under her nose. "This one's close," she said, her voice thoughtful. "The rose is romantic, but it needs something to balance it, maybe a touch of oud for depth, or vetiver for that earthy edge." Julian inhaled the strip she handed him, his brow furrowing in concentration. "Vetiver," he said decisively. "It's grounded like the moment in the film when the lovers realize they can't walk away from each other. Oud feels too heavy for that." Sophia raised an eyebrow, impressed. "You're getting good at this. I might have to watch out, or you'll steal my job." He grinned, a boyish charm breaking through his polished exterior. "Nah, I'm just the guy who knows a good thing when he smells it. You're the genius here." Their eyes met, and the studio felt smaller for a moment, the air charged with unspoken tension. Sophia's fingers brushed against Julian's as she reached for another vial, which sent a shiver through her. She pulled back, focusing on the task, but her heart raced. Julian, too, seemed to pause, his gaze lingering on her before he cleared his throat and pointed to her notebook. "What's next?" You said something about a citrus top note yesterday. Sophia nodded, grateful for the shift. Yeah, I'm thinking pink grapefruit. It's bright, a little rebellious, like the spark that pulls the characters together in your film. Let's try it. They worked in companionable silence, blending and testing, and the rhythm of their collaboration was effortless. As the hours passed, the studio filled with the soft clink of glass and the occasional hum of Sophia's favorite jazz playlist. Julian, usually restless, found himself content to stay watching Sophia's hands move with precision, her face lighting up when a blend came together just right. During a break, they sat on the worn leather couch in the corner, sharing a thermos of coffee Julian had brought from his favorite roastery. Sophia tucked her legs under her, her emerald green sweater, a vibrant contrast against her deep brown skin. So, she said, sipping her coffee, what's it like being Julian Pierce, the man who makes Hollywood's dreams come true? He chuckled, but there was a wistfulness in his tone. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. It's late nights, endless meetings, and many people telling you what they think you want to hear. Most days I'm just trying to make something that matters. Sophia studied him, her skepticism softened by his honesty. And this film, Starlit Dreams, matters to you? He nodded, his gaze distant. It's personal. The story, it's about two people who find each other when they've given up on finding anything real. I know what that feels like. The vulnerability in his voice caught Sophia off guard. She wanted to ask more, to peel back the layers of the man the tabloids painted as untouchable, but she hesitated. Instead, she shared a piece of herself. My grandmother used to say, a good perfume is like a good love story. It's honest even when it hurts. That's what I want for this fragrance. Something that feels true. Julian looked at her, his eyes softening. You're doing that, Sophia. Every note you choose, every blend, it's you. It's real. The moment stretched heavy with possibility. Sophia's heart thudded, and she wondered if he felt it too, the pull between them, as undeniable as the scent they were creating. But before she could speak, her phone buzzed, shattering the moment. It was another message from her friend Lila, a makeup artist who kept her ear to the ground in Hollywood. Rumors of Sophia's signature scent being stolen have now circulated, and they are trending on social media. A few industry blogs had picked it up, hinting that Sophia might have borrowed her formula from a luxury brand. Sophia's face tightened as she read the message aloud. This is ridiculous, she said, her voice shaking with frustration. I've spent years perfecting that scent. It's mine down to every drop. Julian's jaw clenched, his protective instincts kicking in. Who's spreading this? Do you know? Sophia shook her head. Lila says it's coming from someone in the industry, but no one's named yet. It's just whispers for now. But you know how this town works. Whispers become headlines. Julian stood pacing the small studio. We'll get to the bottom of it. I've got people who can dig into this discreetly. You focus on the fragrance. I'll handle the noise. Sophia wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at her. Hollywood was a machine that chewed up outsiders like her, and Julian, for all his sincerity, was part of that machine. Why are you doing this? She asked, her voice quieter now. Helping me, I mean. What's in it for you? He stopped pacing, his eyes locking onto hers. You think I'm just in this for the film, Sophia? I believe in you. Not just your talent, but you. I've met many people in this town, and you're different. You're real. The words hit her harder than she expected, stirring a warmth she wasn't ready to acknowledge. She nodded, swallowing her emotions. Okay, let's keep working. I'm not letting some rumor stop me. They returned to the workbench, but the air felt heavier now, the joy of creation tempered by the shadow of doubt. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the studio in twilight, Sophia glanced at Julian, his face illuminated by the soft glow of a lamp. She wanted to trust him and believe in the connection between them, But the rumor was a reminder that Hollywood played by its rules, and she was still learning how to navigate them. The rumor about Sophia's perfume had taken on a life of its own, spreading like wildfire through Hollywood's gossip channels. The story had escalated by the time Sophia and Julian met for their next session. A prominent beauty blog had published a piece titled, "The Scent of Scandal is Hollywood's New Perfumer, a Fraud." The article didn't name sources, but quoted industry insiders who claimed Sophia's signature fragrance bore striking similarities to a discontinued formula from a French luxury house. Sophia sat in her studio scrolling through the comments on her phone, each a dagger to her confidence. Another wannabe trying to cash in. Typical. If she's stealing, she doesn't belong here. Julian arrived, his face grim as he tossed a tablet onto the workbench open to the same article. "This is garbage," he said, his voice tight with anger. "I've got my team looking into it. We'll find out who's behind this and shut it down." Sophia set her phone down, her hands trembling slightly. "It's not just about shutting it down, Julian. People believe this stuff. I've worked too hard to let someone tear me apart like this." He stepped closer, his voice softening. "I know, and I'm not going to let that happen. You're not alone in this, Sophia." She met his gaze, searching for the truth behind his words. His blue eyes were steady, earnest, but the weight of the rumor made her question everything. Was he protecting her out of genuine care, or safeguarding his investment in the starlit dreams fragrance? She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. "Let's work," she said, her voice clipped. "I need to focus on something I can control." They dove into refining the fragrance, but the mood was strained. Sophia's usual passion was tempered by distraction. Her movements were less fluid, and her comments were curt. Julian noticed, but didn't push, giving her space while staying close. He suggested tweaks to the scent, a hint of lavender, to soften the rose, a touch of black pepper for intrigue. And Sophia nodded, grateful for his input, but guarded. As they worked, the door to the studio opened, and a woman stepped in. Chloe Monroe, a statuesque actress with a cascade of platinum blonde hair and a smile that didn't reach her eyes, sauntered uninvited. She was a Hollywood darling, known for her roles in Julian's early films and her knack for staying in the headlines. Her red dress hugged her figure, and her presence filled the room like a storm cloud. "Julian, darling." Chloe purred, ignoring Sophia. "I heard you were working on something special, so I had to see it myself." Julian's expression tightened, but he kept his tone polite. "Chloe, this isn't a good time. We're in the middle of a session." Chloe's eyes flicked to Sophia, sizing her up with a glance that felt like a blade. "Oh, I see. This must be the perfumer everyone's talking about." Her tone dripped with condescension, and Sophia's stomach twisted. She recognized Chloe from the tabloids and the gala where they'd first met, where Chloe had hovered around Julian like a possessive shadow. "Sophia Alvarez," Sophia said, standing straighter, her voice firm, despite the unease creeping up her spine. "Nice to meet you." Chloe's smile was razor thin, charmed. "I've heard so much about your work. Quite the buzz." She turned to Julian, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "You always pick the most interesting projects, Julian. But you know how this town is. People talk." Sophia's jaw tightened, and she caught the implication in Chloe's words. Julian stepped away from Chloe's touch, his voice cool. "If you've got something to say, Chloe, say it." Chloe laughed, a tinkling sound that grated on Sophia's nerves. "Oh, nothing specific, just that Hollywood loves a good story. And a scandal. Even better." She glanced at Sophia again, her eyes glinting with malice. "I'll let you two get back to your chemistry." As Chloe left, the air felt colder, her words lingering like poison. Sophia turned to Julian, her voice low. "She's the one, isn't she? the one spreading the rumor. Julian ran a hand through his hair. Frustration evident. I don't know if it's possible. Chloe's complicated. She doesn't like sharing the spotlight, and she's been trying to get back into my orbit since we worked together years ago. Sophia crossed her arms, her trust wavering. And what's your history with her, Julian? Because it feels like she's got a personal stake in this. He sighed, meeting her gaze. We dated briefly a long time ago. It didn't work out. She wanted the fame more than anything else. I ended it, and she's never quite let it go. But I swear, Sophia, I'm not playing games here. I'm with you on this. Sophia wanted to believe him, but the rumor and Chloe's presence had shaken her. She nodded, her voice quiet. Okay. But if she's behind this, I need to know. I'm not going to let her ruin me. Julian stepped closer, his hand hovering near hers, but not touching. She won't. I'll make sure of it. We're in this together, Sophia. They returned to work, but the joy of their earlier sessions was gone, replaced by a tense determination. Sophia poured her frustration into the fragrance, adding a bolder note of black pepper to give it an edge, a defiance that mirrored her own. Julian watched her, his respect for her growing, even as he sensed her pulling away. That night alone in her studio, Sophia scrolled through the latest comments online, each a reminder of the rumor's spread. She thought of her grandmother, whose strength had carried her through more challenging times than this. Closing her eyes, she inhaled the test blend they'd created that day, its notes of rose and pepper, a testament to her resilience. She wouldn't let Chloe or Hollywood break her. But as she looked at the photo of her and her grandmother, she wondered if trusting Julian was a risk she could afford to take. The Los Angeles skyline shimmered under the late morning sun, but the air felt tense inside Sofia Alvarez's Echo Park studio. The rumor about her signature fragrance being stolen had metastasized, fueled by Chloe Monroe's veiled insinuations and the relentless churn of Hollywood's gossip machine. Social media was ablaze with speculation, and industry insiders were starting to distance themselves from Sophia, wary of associating with a potential scandal. The beauty blog that had first published the accusation had doubled down, citing anonymous sources who claimed Sophia's scent was a near-exact replica of a long-forgotten formula by a Parisian house. For Sophia, an African-American perfumer who had fought tooth and nail to carve out a space in a cutthroat industry, the accusations were more than professional. They were personal, directly attacking her integrity and her grandmother's legacy. Sophia stood at her workbench, her deep brown hands steady as she measured a drop of amber oil, but her mind was elsewhere. Her tightly coiled hair was pulled into a loose bun, and her face, usually warm with determination, was etched with worry. Once a haven of creativity, the studio now felt like a battleground where she had to defend her art. Across from her, Julian Pierce sat on a stool, his white American features tense with frustration. His sandy blonde hair was slightly disheveled, and his blue eyes, usually bright with confidence, were clouded with concern. He'd arrived early, bringing a stack of printouts, articles, tweets, and comments that tracked the rumor's spread. His tailored blazer hung on the back of a chair, and his sleeves were rolled up, signaling his readiness to dive into damage control. Julian said, "This is getting out of hand," his voice low but firm as he flipped through the papers. "I've got my PR team working on it, and I've called in a favor with a friend at a major outlet to run a counter story. But we need to find the source of this and shut it down." Sophia set down her pipette, her dark eyes meeting his. "It's Chloe, Julian. You know it is. She walked in here yesterday acting like she owned the place, dropping hints like breadcrumbs. She's got motive, she's jealous, and wants to tear me down." Julian nodded, his jaw tightening. "I suspect you're right. Chloe's always thrived on drama and has a network of people who will amplify anything she says. But we need proof before we confront her. Accusing her without evidence will only make this worse." Sophia crossed her arms. Her green sweater, a vibrant contrast against her skin. Proof or not, this is already hurting me. I got an email this morning from a boutique in Silver Lake. They were going to carry my indie line, but now they're reconsidering because of the buzz. People are believing this, Julian. They think I'm a fraud. The pain in her voice hit Julian like a punch. He stood, stepping closer, his hands hovering as if unsure whether to reach out. You're not a fraud, Sophia. Anyone who's spent 5 minutes with you knows that. Your work speaks for itself. We'll fix this. She looked at him, searching his face for sincerity. Julian's support felt genuine, but doubt gnawed at her. He was Hollywood royalty, a man whose world operated on deals and appearances. Was he protecting her because he cared, or because the starlit dream's fragrance was tied to his film's success? She pushed the thought aside, not ready to confront it. I appreciate that she said, her voice softer but still guarded. But I need to do something too. I can't just sit here and let her win. Julian nodded, his expression resolute. Then let's keep working on the fragrance. Show them what you're capable of. The best way to fight a lie is with the truth. Sophia took a deep breath, nodding. She turned back to the workbench, pulling out a vial of vetiver. Okay, let's refine the base notes. I want this scent to feel like strength, like standing your ground no matter what's thrown at you. They spent the next hours immersed in their craft, blending and testing, trying to recapture the magic of their earlier sessions. Sophia suggested a touch of patchouli to deepen the fragrance's warmth, while Julian proposed a hint of vanilla to soften its edges. Their collaboration was seamless, a dance of ideas transcending the outside tension. But every so often, Sophia's phone buzzed with notifications. More comments, more speculation, and the weight of the rumor pressed harder. During a break, they sat on the studio's worn leather couch, sharing a plate of pastries Julian had brought from a nearby bakery. The sun streamed through the window, glowing on Sophia's face warmly. Julian watched her, his heart aching at the strain in her expression. He said, "Tell me about your grandmother," hoping to shift her focus. "You've mentioned her a few times. She's the one who got you into this, right?" Sophia's lips curved into a faint smile, her eyes softening. "Yeah, Grandma Rose. She was a force, tough but so kind. She grew up in New Orleans, and her kitchen was like a lab. She'd mix oils and herbs, teaching me how every scent tells a story. She used to say, 'A good perfume is like a good woman. It doesn't need to shout to be heard.' I'm trying to live up to that." Julian leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "You are. Every blend you make feels like it's got a piece of her in it. And you." Sophia looked at him, her guard slipping. "Why do you care so much, Julian? I mean, really. You've got a million things on your plate. Why go to bat for me like this?" He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Because you're not just a collaborator, Sophia. You make me want to be better. I've spent years chasing success, but being here with you and working on something real, it's the first time in a long time I've felt like I'm not just going through the motions." The honesty in his voice caught her off guard, stirring a warmth she wasn't ready to name. She wanted to believe him, but the rumor and Chloe's shadow loomed large. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from Lila, her friend in the industry. "I heard from a source that Chloe's been talking to reporters, saying she knows your formula's not original. Be careful." Sophia's face hardened as she showed Julian the message. "This is her. I knew it." Julian's expression darkened, his protective instincts flaring. "I'll handle Chloe. I've got a meeting with some of the film's investors tomorrow. I'll see if I can get her to back off. In the meantime, keep doing what you do best. This fragrance is going to shut them all up." Sophia nodded, but her heart was heavy. As they returned to work, she poured her frustration into the scent, adding a bolder note of black pepper to give it defiance. The fragrance was becoming more than a product. It was her fight, her truth. But as the day ended and Julian left, promising to call with updates, Sophia sat alone, staring at the vials on her workbench. She thought of her grandmother's strength, her own resilience. She wouldn't let Chloe or anyone take that from her. But the battle was beginning, and she wasn't sure how much she could trust the man who was quickly becoming more than a partner. The studio was bathed in the soft glow of string lights, the only illumination as night fell over Echo Park. Sophia and Julian had been working late, determined to perfect the Starlit Dreams fragrance, despite the storm of rumors swirling outside. The scent was nearly complete, a romantic, defiant blend of rose amber vetiver and black pepper, with a bright spark of pink grapefruit. It was bold, yet tender, reflecting the film's story, and increasingly, the connection growing between them. Sophia stood at her workbench, her deep brown hands steady as she labeled a test vial, her tightly coiled hair falling loose from its scarf. Julian sat nearby, his white shirt slightly rumpled, his sandy blonde hair catching the light as he scribbled notes on a pad. The rumor about Sophia's stolen formula had only grown fueled by Chloe Monroe's calculated whispers. Industry chatter had turned vicious, with some calling Sophia a flash in the pan who tried to cheat her way to the top. The pressure was wearing on her, but she refused to let it show, channeling her energy into the fragrance. Julian, meanwhile, had been working behind the scenes, using his connections to trace the rumor's origins. Through discreet contact, he confirmed that Chloe was indeed the source, feeding tidbits to bloggers and reporters to undermine Sophia. The betrayal stung. He'd known Chloe was petty, but this was a new low. They'd agreed to set the drama aside tonight and focus on the work. The studio felt like a refuge where they could escape the world. As Sophia tested the latest blend, she handed Julian a test strip. "What do you think? Too much pepper, or does it feel right?" He inhaled deeply, closing his eyes. "It's perfect. It's got that edge, but it's still warm, inviting. Like the moment in the film when the lovers decide to fight for each other no matter the cost." Sophia smiled, her first genuine smile of the day. "You're starting to sound like a perfumer, Pierce." He grinned, leaning closer. "Maybe I'm just learning from the best." The air between them shifted, charged with a familiar tension. Their hands brushed as Sophia reached for another vial, and this time neither pulled away. The contact lingered, a silent acknowledgement of the pull they'd both been fighting. Sophia's heart raced, her defenses wavering. Julian's blue eyes held hers, soft yet intense, and for a moment, the world outside, the rumors, the pressure, Chloe's schemes faded away. "Let's take a break," Julian said, his voice low. He stood, crossing to the small speaker on the shelf and switching on a jazz playlist, the same one Sophia had played during their first sessions. The smooth saxophone notes filled the room, and he turned to her, extending a hand. "Dance with me." Sophia hesitated, her practicality warring with the warmth in his gaze. "Here now." "Why not?" he said, his smile boyish. "We've been working non-stop. Let's have one moment that's just us." She took his hand, her fingers warm against his, and he gently pulled her into the studio's center. They swayed to the music, the string lights casting a soft glow over them. Sophia's emerald green dress moved with her, and Julian's hand rested lightly on her waist, his touch grounding and electric. As they danced, the space between them seemed to vanish, their bodies close, their breaths mingling. "You know," Julian said softly, his voice barely above the music, "the first time I smelled your perfume at that gala, it wasn't just the scent that stopped me. It was you. You were standing there so confident, so real. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since." Sophia's breath caught her heart pounding. Julian, why? She trailed off, unsure how to navigate the feelings swelling inside her. This isn't very easy. You're you and I'm just trying to survive in this world. And I don't know what to trust with everything going on the rumors, Chloe. He stopped dancing, his hand still holding hers. You can trust me, Sophia. I know Hollywood's a mess and I'm part of it. But what I feel for you, it's not part of some game. It's real. The sincerity in his voice broke through her walls, and she felt tears prick her eyes. She wanted to believe him, to let herself fall into the possibility of them. But the rumors loomed, reminding her how quickly this world could turn on her. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed, breaking the spell. It was another message from Lila. Chloe's at it again. She's meeting with a reporter tonight, pushing the stolen formula story. You need to do something. Sophia's face hardened, and she showed Julian the text. She's not going to stop, is she? Julian's expression darkened, his protective instincts flaring. No, she won't. But we're going to stop her. I've got an idea. Let's set up a meeting with her somewhere public. We'll confront her with what we know, but do it smartly. No accusations we can't back up. Sophia nodded, her resolve strengthening. Okay, but I won't just sit back and let you handle it. This is my fight too. I've got proof that the formula's mind note samples, even emails with my grandmother's old recipes. I can show the world I'm no thief. Julian's eyes lit up with admiration. That's my girl. Let's do this together. They spent the rest of the night planning the dance, forgotten, but the connection it sparked lingered. Sophia pulled out her journals, showing Julian the meticulous records of her creative process, proving that her signature scent was hers. Julian, in turn, outlined a strategy to counter Chloe's narrative, using his industry clout to amplify Sophia's truth. As they worked, their partnership deepened, a blend of trust and determination that mirrored the fragrance they were creating. By the time they parted ways, the city was quiet, the stars hidden behind LA's ever-present haze. Sophia stood at her studio window, watching Julian's car disappear down the street. The memory of their dance, his words, his touch lingered like a lingering note of perfume. She was falling for him, she knew it, but the fight ahead would test them both. Chloe's shadow loomed large, and Sophia was ready to step into the light, no matter the cost. The morning sun bathed Sofia Alvarez's Echo Park studio in a warm golden glow, but the atmosphere inside was charged with determination. The rumor about Sophia's stolen perfume formula, orchestrated by Chloe Monroe, had spread like wildfire through Hollywood's gossip channels, threatening to derail her career and the Starlit Dreams fragrance project. Sophia, an African-American perfumer with deep brown skin and tightly coiled hair, pulled into a practical braid, stood at her workbench, surrounded by glass vials and handwritten journals. Her dark eyes were focused, her hands steady as she reviewed her notes, proof that her signature scent was her own creation, rooted in years of experimentation and her grandmother's teachings. Across from her, Julian Pierce, a white American film producer with sandy blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, paced the small space, his tailored blazer slung over a chair. Their tension was palpable, not from conflict, but from a shared resolve to fight back. Sophia had spent the previous night compiling evidence to counter Chloe's accusations. Her journals, filled with detailed sketches and formulas, dated back to her early days in New Orleans, long before she'd set foot in Los Angeles. She'd also found emails exchanged with her grandmother Rose, discussing the development of the jasmine and sandalwood blend that had first caught Julian's attention at the gala. "This is it," Sophia said, holding up a leather-bound notebook. "Every step of my process, every tweak to the formula. Chloe can't dispute this." Julian stopped pacing, his expression a mix of admiration and relief. "This is gold, Sophia. With this, we can prove your work is original." But we need to be strategic. Chloe's the media in her pocket, and she won't back down easily. Sophia nodded, her jaw set. I know. That's why I reached out to Lila. She's got a contact at a perfume industry blog who is willing to look at my evidence. If we can get them to run a story, it'll start shifting the narrative. Julian's eyes lit up. Smart. I've got a meeting with a reporter from Variety later today. I'll make sure they know the truth too. But we need to confront Chloe directly. She's the source. If we don't stop her, she'll keep spinning this. Sophia hesitated, the memory of Chloe's smug smile in the studio still fresh. How do we do that without playing her game? She thrives on drama. If we approach her too hard, she'll twist it to make me look desperate. Julian leaned against the workbench, his voice calm but firm. We invite her to a public event somewhere. She can't make a scene without looking bad. The Starlit Dreams cast dinner is tomorrow night at the Chateau Marmont. It's intimate, but there'll be enough industry people to keep her in check. We calmly call her out with the facts and let her dig her own grave. Sophia considered this, her fingers tracing the edge of her notebook. Okay. But I'm not just standing there while you talk. I want to face her myself. This is my fight. Julian smiled, a flicker of pride in his eyes. I wouldn't have it any other way. We're a team, Sophia. The word team hung in the air, stirring something in Sophia's chest. Over the past weeks, their collaboration had grown more profound, a partnership built on mutual respect, and increasingly something more. The memory of their dance the previous night, the warmth of Julian's hand on her waist, lingered like a lingering note of perfume. But Sophia pushed the thought aside. There was too much at stake to let her feelings cloud her focus. They spent the day preparing blending work on the fragrance with their plan to counter Chloe. The Starlit Dream scent was nearly complete, a romantic yet defiant blend of rose amber, vetiver, black pepper, and pink grapefruit. Sophia tweaked the formula, adding a touch of bergamot to brighten the top notes, while Julian suggested a subtle increase in vanilla to soften the finish. Their creative synergy was effortless, a reminder of why they'd come together in the first place. But every buzz of Sophia's phone, another comment, another snide remark online, kept the pressure high. By late afternoon, Sophia's friend Lila arrived at the studio. Her vibrant energy a welcome contrast to the tension. A makeup artist with connections across Hollywood, Lila had been Sophia's lifeline, feeding her updates on Chloe's movements. She plopped onto the couch, her curly hair bouncing. Lila said, I talked to my contact at Fragrance today, scrolling through her phone. They're interested in your story, Sophia. They want to see your journals and do an interview. This could be big. Sophia's eyes widened. That's amazing. If we can get a reputable outlet to back me, it'll be harder for Chloe to keep pushing her lies. Julian nodded, pulling out his phone. I'll coordinate with my Variety contact. We'll hit this from mainstream media and the perfume world. Chloe won't know what hit her. As Lila left, promising to set up the interview, Sophia and Julian returned to the Fragrance. They tested the latest blend, spraying it on their wrists and inhaling deeply. The scent was intoxicating, a perfect balance of warmth and rebellion. This is it, Sophia said, her voice soft and proud. This is the one. Julian met her gaze, his expression softening. It's you, Sophia. It's everything. You are strong, beautiful, real. The compliment caught her off guard, and she felt a flush creep up her cheeks. You're not so bad yourself, Pierce, she said, deflecting with a smile. But the moment lingered, and she wondered how long she could deny the pull between them. That night, Sophia stayed late in the studio, reviewing her evidence one last time. She photographed pages from her journals, emailed them to Lila's contact, and prepared a statement for the Fragrance Today interview. As she worked, her thoughts drifted to Julian. His support, His belief in her had been unwavering, but the stakes of their partnership were high. If they failed to stop Chloe, the Starlit Dreams project and their budding connection could collapse under the weight of the scandal. The next evening, the Chateau Marmont buzzed with the low hum of Hollywood elite. The Starlit Dreams cast dinner was an exclusive affair in a private dining room with velvet curtains and candlelit tables. Sophia wore a sleek black dress that hugged her curves, her hair styled in loose curls, a gold pendant at her neck, a gift from her grandmother. In a tailored navy suit, Julian stood by her side, his presence grounding and electrifying. As they mingled with actors, producers, and investors, Sophia felt the weight of eyes on her, whispers trailing in her wake. Chloe arrived fashionably late, her red gown a bold statement, her platinum blonde hair cascading over her shoulders. She greeted Julian with a kiss on the cheek, her eyes flicking to Sophia with a smirk. "Sophia, how lovely to see you," Chloe said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "I hear you've been keeping busy." Sophia's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure. "I have. Working on something real takes time." Chloe's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly, turning to charm a nearby producer. Julian leaned close to Sophia, his voice low. "Stay calm. We've got this." As the dinner progressed, Sophia felt the tension build. She and Julian had planned their move carefully, waiting for the right moment. When dessert was served, Julian stood clinking his glass to draw attention. He said, "I want to thank you all for being here, commanding the room. Starlit Dreams is a project close to my heart, and it's been elevated by an extraordinary talent, Sofia Alvarez, whose fragrance will define this film." The room applauded, but Chloe's smile was tight. Sophia took a deep breath, standing to join Julian. "I'm honored to be part of this," she said, her voice steady. "But I need to address something. There's been talk that my work isn't my own. I've spent years creating my fragrances, documenting every step. My journals and emails prove my signature scent is mine. I invite anyone to see the evidence." The room fell silent, all eyes on Chloe. Her face paled, but she laughed a brittle sound. "Oh, Sophia, no one's questioning your passion. But you know how this industry is. Rumors happen." Julian's voice cut through, calm but firm. "Rumors don't just happen, Chloe. They've started. And we know who's been talking to reporters, spreading lies." Chloe's eyes flashed, but she held her ground. "Careful, Julian. You don't want to make accusations you can't prove." Sophia stepped forward, her voice clear. "I've got proof, and it's going public tomorrow." Fragrance. Today is running my story with my journals as evidence. The truth will speak for itself. The room buzzed with murmurs, and Chloe's composure cracked, her smile fading. She excused herself, leaving the dinner in a hurry. Sophia felt a surge of triumph, but it was tempered by exhaustion. As the guests dispersed, Julian took her hand, his touch warm. "You were incredible," he said. "We're going to win this." Sophia nodded, her heart racing, not just from the confrontation, but from the way Julian's hand felt in hers. They were closer to the truth, but the fight wasn't over. And neither was the pull between them, growing stronger with every step they took together. The fallout from the Starlit Dreams cast dinner was immediate. Sophia's bold declaration, backed by Julian's support, had shifted the narrative. By morning, Fragrance Today published an exclusive feature titled Sofia Alvarez, The Truth Behind the Scent, detailing her creative process and showcasing scans of her journals. The article praised her talent and authenticity, calling her a rising star in perfumery. Industry insiders began to rally behind her, and the tide of public opinion started to turn. But Chloe Monroe wasn't done. The actress, humiliated at the dinner, doubled down, feeding new rumors to a gossip site that suggested Sophia's evidence was fabricated. The accusation was flimsy, but kept the scandal alive, testing Sophia's resilience and trust in Julian. Sophia sat in her studio, the morning light filtering through the windows, illuminating the rows of vials and dried flowers. Her deep brown skin glowed under the soft glow, but her eyes were tired, shadowed by sleepless nights. She wore a simple white blouse and jeans, her tightly coiled hair pulled back with a silk scarf. The Starlit Dreams fragrance was nearly complete, a testament to her and Julian's collaboration. But the ongoing battle with Chloe made every victory bittersweet. Julian arrived, his white American features etched with determination, his sandy blonde hair slightly tousled. He carried a laptop open to the latest gossip site's article. He said, "This is Chloe's last gasp," setting the computer down. "She's desperate, and it shows. We need to keep the pressure on." Sophia nodded her fingers, tracing the edge of a vial. "I saw the Fragrance Today piece. It's helping, but Chloe's still got people listening." "I'm tired, Julian. I want to create, not fight." He stepped closer, his blue eyes soft with empathy. "I know. And you shouldn't have to. But you're stronger than she is, Sophia. You've got the truth on your side, and you've got me." The words stirred something in Sophia, a warmth she couldn't ignore. She wanted to trust him fully, to let herself fall into the connection they'd built. But the stakes felt too high. "What's next?" she asked, focusing on the plan. The film's trailer premiere is in a few days. If Chloe's still pushing this, it could overshadow everything. Julian sat across from her, his voice steady. "We use the premiere. It's a big stage press influencers industry, heavyweights. We'll showcase the fragrance, tell your story, and clarify that Chloe's accusations are baseless. I've already got my team setting up a display for the scent, and we'll have your journals there for anyone to see." Sophia's eyes widened. "You want to put my journals on display? They're personal. They're not just formulas. They're my thoughts, my memories." Julian reached for her hand, his touch gentle. "I know it's a lot to ask, but showing them proves your authenticity in a way nothing else can. It's your story, Sophia, and it's powerful. Let the world see it." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but I want to be the one to present them. This is my truth. I need to tell it." Julian smiled, pride evident in his expression. "Deal. You're going to steal the show." They spent the day preparing for the premiere, finalizing the fragrance and planning Sophia's moment. The scent, now called Eterna, was a masterpiece: rose and amber for romance vetiver, and black pepper for strength, pink grapefruit for a spark of defiance. Sophia bottled a sample, spraying it into the air and letting the notes settle. "This is us," she said, glancing at Julian. "It's everything we've been through." He inhaled, his eyes closing briefly. "It's perfect. And it's going to make history." As the premiere approached, Sophia worked with Lila to coordinate with Fragrance Today for a follow-up piece, sharing more of her process to solidify her credibility. Julian, meanwhile, leveraged his connections to ensure the press focused on Sophia's talent, not Chloe's rumors. But the tension remained. Chloe was a wild card, and her next move was unpredictable. The night of the Starlit Dreams trailer premiere arrived and was held at a grand theater in Hollywood. The venue was a sea of lights and cameras, with red carpets stretching across the entrance. Sophia wore a stunning gold gown that shimmered against her deep brown skin, her hair in an elegant updo. In a black tuxedo, Julian walked beside her, his presence a steady anchor. The air buzzed with anticipation, but Sophia felt the weight of eyes on her, some curious, some skeptical. Inside, a display showcased Eterna, with vials of the fragrance and copies of Sophia's journals open to key pages. Guests milled around, spraying the scent and reading her notes, their murmurs turning to praise. Sophia's heart swelled, but her nerves tightened when she spotted Chloe across the room. Her red dress, a bold contrast to the crowd. Chloe's smile was sharp, her eyes glinting with defiance. As the trailer played, Julian took the stage, his voice commanding. "Starlit Dreams is about love that fights against the odds," he said. "And tonight, I want to introduce the woman who's brought that spirit to life. Sofia Alvarez, the creator of Eterna." Sofia stepped forward, her heart pounding. The crowd applauded, but Chloe's voice cut through loud enough to draw attention. "A beautiful scent," she called out, her tone laced with venom. "But I wonder, can we really trust its origins?" The room hushed, and Sofia felt the air shift. She took a deep breath, stepping to the microphone. "I'm glad you asked, Chloe," she said, her voice clear and steady. "My fragrance is my story built from years of work and my grandmother's legacy. My journals are here for anyone to see. Every note and idea is mine. If you have doubts, I invite you to look. The truth doesn't need rumors to stand." The crowd murmured, some nodding in approval, others turning to Chloe, who faltered under the scrutiny. Julian stepped beside Sofia, his hand brushing hers. "Sofia's talent speaks for itself," he said, "and Eterna is proof of that. Let's celebrate what's real tonight." The applause was deafening, drowning out Chloe's attempt to respond. She slipped away, her face flushed with defeat. Sofia felt a surge of triumph, but the moment's weight tempered it. She'd faced Chloe head-on, and the truth had held. As the crowd swarmed to congratulate her, Julian leaned close, his voice low. "You were incredible. I'm so proud of you." Sofia met his gaze, her heart racing. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time she felt like she could win, not just against Chloe, but for herself, and maybe for the connection she and Julian were building, one note at a time. The aftermath of the Starlit Dreams trailer premiere was a whirlwind. Sofia Alvarez's bold stand against Chloe Monroe's accusations had turned the tide with the Fragrance Today article, and her public display of journals at the event, cementing her credibility. While never entirely silenced, the Hollywood gossip machine began to shift its focus, praising Sofia's talent and authenticity. Social media buzzed with support, with influencers and industry insiders lauding Eterna, the fragrance she'd created for Julian Pierce's film. Yet Sofia felt fragile about the victory. Chloe's silence since the premiere was ominous, and the pressure of the project combined with her growing feelings for Julian kept her on edge. Sofia stood in her Echo Park studio, the morning light filtering through the windows, casting soft shadows across her workbench. Her deep brown skin glowed under the sun's rays, and her tightly coiled hair was swept into a loose bun, a few curls framing her face. She wore a simple navy dress, her hands moving with purpose as she bottled samples of Eterna. The fragrance was complete, a romantic blend of rose and amber, grounded by vetiver and black pepper, with a defiant spark of pink grapefruit. It was her masterpiece, reflecting her journey and her connection with Julian. But the weight of the recent weeks, Chloe's rumors, the public scrutiny lingered, making every step forward like a tightrope walk. Julian arrived, his white American features bright with energy, his sandy blonde hair slightly tousled from the morning breeze. He wore a tailored gray sweater and jeans, a casual contrast to the polished producer the world knew. His blue eyes lit up as he saw Sofia, and he set a tray of coffee and croissants on the workbench. "Good morning, Star," he said, his voice warm. "The internet's going wild for you. Eterna is trending, and Variety called you Hollywood's new sensation." Sofia managed a small smile, but her eyes were guarded. "That's great, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Chloe's too quiet. She's planning something, I can feel it." Julian's expression sobered, and he pulled up a stool. "You're right to be cautious. My team's keeping an eye on her, but she's been lying low. Too low. She'll try to hit back before the film's official launch." Sofia nodded, her fingers tracing the edge of a vial. "I want this to be over, Julian. I want to focus on the work on Eterna, not on her games." He reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers. "You will. We're almost there. The film's launch is in 2 weeks, and Eterna will be front and center. You've already proven yourself, Sophia. The world's seeing you for who you are." Her dark eyes met his, searching for the truth behind his words. Julian's support had been unwavering, but the intensity of their connection scared her. Every glance, every touch felt like a step toward something bigger, something she wasn't sure she could handle in the midst of this storm. "Why do you keep fighting for me?" she asked, her voice soft but direct. "This isn't just about the film anymore." Julian leaned forward, his voice low and earnest. "No, it's not. Sophia, you're not just a collaborator. You're changing me. I've spent years building walls, keeping people at arm's length. But with you, I don't want to do that. I want to be in this with you for the fragrance film, and whatever comes next." The vulnerability in his words hit her hard, stirring a warmth she couldn't ignore. She wanted to respond, to tell him she felt the same, but the weight of the rumors and the uncertainty of their future held her back. Instead, she squeezed his hand briefly, then pulled away. She said, "Let's focus on the launch," her voice steady, but her heart racing. "We need to make sure Eterna shines." They spent the day preparing for the film's premiere, finalizing the packaging for Eterna, and coordinating with the marketing team. Sophia worked precisely, ensuring every bottle was perfect, while Julian handled logistics, securing partnerships with high-end retailers to distribute the fragrance. Their collaboration was seamless, a testament to the trust they'd built. But Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that Chloe was lurking, waiting for her moment. That afternoon, Sophia's friend and industry insider Lila burst into the studio, her curly hair bouncing as she waved her phone. "You're not going to believe this," she said, her voice a mix of excitement and urgency. "Chloe's planning a stunt. My contact at a gossip site says she's booked a spot at a charity gala tonight. Same one you're invited to, Sophia. She will make a public statement and try to spin the narrative again." Sophia's stomach dropped, but her resolve hardened. What kind of statement? Lila scrolled through her messages. Something about protecting the industry's integrity. She's framing herself as the victim, saying you and Julian are bullying her to cover up your questionable work. Julian's jaw clenched, his protective instincts flaring. She's desperate. This is her last shot, and it's going to backfire. "Sophia, we need to be at that gala. We'll counter her with the truth, but we do it your way. Calm, confident, undeniable." Sophia nodded, her mind racing. "I'll bring my journals. If she wants to play this game in public, I'm ready." The charity gala was held at a sprawling estate in Bel Air, its gardens lit by twinkling lanterns. Sophia wore a deep emerald gown that shimmered against her skin, styled in an elegant updo with a gold hairpin. In a charcoal suit, Julian walked beside her, his presence a steady anchor. The air was thick with the scents of wealth, expensive perfumes, cigar smoke, and blooming jasmine. But Sophia's focus was razor sharp. She carried a small leather case with key journal pages ready to defend her work. As they mingled, Sophia felt the weight of eyes on her, some admiring, others curious. The Fragrance Today article had elevated her status, but Chloe's influence still lingered. When Chloe arrived, her red gown was a bold statement, and the crowd parted. She made a beeline for Sophia and Julian, her smile sharp as a blade. "Sophia, Julian, and Chloe," said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "What a surprise. I didn't expect to see you here after all the drama." Sophia stood tall, her voice calm but firm. "We're here to celebrate the work, Chloe, not to stir up more lies." Chloe's eyes flashed, but she kept her composure. As the gala's program began, she took the stage, her voice amplified by a microphone. "I want to talk about integrity in our industry," she began, her tone sanctimonious. "Some try to rise by stepping on others, claiming work that isn't theirs. I've seen it firsthand. and it's time the truth came out. The crowd murmured, and Sophia's heart pounded. She stepped forward, her journals in hand, and raised her voice. If you're talking about me, Chloe, let's be clear. My fragrance Eterna is my creation. I have years of documented work notes, formulas, emails that prove it. They're here for anyone to see. If you have evidence, show it. Otherwise, stop hiding behind rumors. The room fell silent, all eyes on Chloe. She faltered, her smile slipping. I'm just saying what others have whispered, she stammered. The industry deserves transparency. Julian stepped beside Sophia, his voice steady. Transparency is exactly what Sophia's offering. Her journals are open for review, and fragrance today has verified her work. If anyone's undermining the industry, they spread lies to tear others down. The crowd erupted in murmurs, some nodding in support, others whispering about Chloe's retreat. She left the stage, her face flushed, and slipped out of the gala. Sophia felt a surge of triumph, but it was tempered by exhaustion. She'd faced Chloe again. The truth had held, but the cost was high. Julian pulled Sophia aside as the gala continued, his hand warm on her arm. You were incredible, he said, his eyes shining. You didn't just defend yourself. You owned that room. Sophia smiled, her heart lighter. We did it together. Thank you, Julian. He looked at her, his expression soft but intense. This isn't just about the fragrance anymore. She met his gaze, her defenses crumbling. No, she admitted. It's not. The moment hung between them, a promise of something more. But the fight wasn't over, and Sophia knew the premiere would be their final test. The days leading up to the Starlit Dreams premiere were a blur of preparation and anticipation. Sophia Alvarez and Julian Pierce had weathered Chloe Monroe's storm, and their partnership was stronger for it. The Fragrance Today article and Sophia's public stand at the gala had silenced most of the rumors, and Eterna was generating buzz as a groundbreaking fragrance. Retailers were clamoring to stock it, and the film's marketing team had integrated the scent into every aspect of the campaign, from scented invitations to a pop-up perfume bar at the premiere. But ever cautious Sophia knew that Hollywood's memory was short, and one misstep could undo their progress. In her Echo Park studio, Sophia stood at her workbench, her deep brown hands carefully packing the final bottles of Eterna. The fragrance was a triumph. Rose and amber for romance vetiver, and black pepper for strength, pink grapefruit for defiance. Each sleek and elegant bottle bore her name alongside Julian's, a symbol of their shared vision. Her tightly coiled hair was pulled back with a scarf, and she wore a simple white blouse, her focus unwavering, despite the whirlwind of the past weeks. Julian arrived, his white American features alight with excitement, his sandy blonde hair catching the morning light. He carried a box of promotional materials, his tailored jacket slung over his shoulder. We're almost there, he said, setting the box down. The premiere's tomorrow night, and Eterna is the talk of the town. Are you ready to be a star? Sophia laughed, a rare moment of lightness. I want the fragrance to shine. The star thing. That's your world, not mine. Julian grinned, leaning against the workbench. Maybe, but you're stealing my spotlight, Alvarez, and I'm not even mad about it. Their banter was easy, a testament to the bond they'd built. But Sophia felt the weight of their unspoken feelings, the pull that had grown with every shared moment. The dance in the studio, the stand against Chloe, the late nights blending scents. They'd become more than collaborators. Yet she hesitated, unsure if she could trust her heart in a world as unpredictable as Hollywood. They spent the day finalizing details, testing the last batch of Eterna, and coordinating with the premiere's event team. Julian suggested a personal touch for the launch, a small card in each gift bag, signed by Sophia, sharing the story of Eterna's creation. It's your voice, he said. People need to hear it. Sophia nodded, moved by his faith in her. Okay, but only if you sign them too. This is our story. As they worked, Lila called with an update. Chloe's gone quiet, she said. My sources say she's been dropped by several sponsors after the gala. She's not out of the game, but she's hurting. Sophia felt a pang of relief, but didn't let her guard down. Good. But let's not underestimate her. She's got one more chance to make trouble at the premiere. Julian's expression hardened. If she tries anything, we'll be ready. My team's got security on alert, and the press is on our side now. This is your night, Sophia. They took a break that evening, driving to Malibu to test Eterna under the open sky. The sun was setting, painting the ocean in hues of gold and pink. Sophia sprayed the fragrance, and its notes mingled with the salty air. Julian inhaled, his eyes closing. This is it, he said. I felt this when I first smelled your perfume at the gala. It's you. Sophia looked at him, her heart pounding. Julian, I need to tell you something. Working with you and fighting for this has changed me. I didn't expect to feel this way, but I do. I'm scared, but I'm here. He stepped closer, his hand brushing her cheek. I'm scared too, but I've never been more sure of anything. I love you, Sophia. Not just your work, not just the fragrance you. The words hung between them, raw and honest. Sophia's breath caught, and she leaned into his touch, her fears melting away. I love you too, she whispered. They stood there, the ocean crashing below, the scent of Eterna wrapping around them like a promise. For the first time, Sophia felt like she could face whatever came next with Julian by her side. The premiere was a spectacle at the Dolby Theater, its red carpet lined with cameras and fans. Sophia wore a stunning silver gown that shimmered against her skin, her hair in loose curls, a gold pendant at her neck. Julian walked beside her in a black tuxedo, his hand resting lightly on her back. The Eterna display was a centerpiece, with bottles glowing under soft lights, and Sophia's journals open for guests. The crowd responded electrically, with influencers spraying the scent and raving about its depth. Sophia and Julian sat together as the film played, their hands entwined. The fragrance's launch was seamless, with gift bags distributed to guests, each containing a bottle and Sophia's signed card. Chloe was absent, her influence diminished, and the night belonged to Sophia and Julian. After the screening, they took the stage, the crowd roaring. Julian spoke first, his voice steady. Starlit Dreams is about love that defies the odds, and Eterna, created by Sofia Alvarez, is its heart. She's not just a perfumer, she's a visionary. Sophia stepped forward, her voice clear. This fragrance is my story, my truth. Thank you for believing in it. The applause was deafening, and as they stepped off the stage, Julian pulled her close, his lips brushing her forehead. We did it, he whispered. Sophia smiled, her heart full. Eterna was more than a fragrance, their love, fight, and triumph. And as they faced the future, she knew they'd create something even greater together. The success of the Starlit Dreams premiere had transformed Sofia Alvarez's life overnight. Eterna's fragrance, a masterful blend of rose amber, vetiver, black pepper, and pink grapefruit, was hailed as a groundbreaking achievement, its notes resonating with audiences as deeply as the film itself. Retailers across the country clamored to stock it, and beauty editors penned glowing reviews, calling Sophia the new voice of perfumery. The rumors spread by Chloe Monroe had been silenced, buried under the weight of Sophia's evidence and her public stand at the gala. Chloe's absence from the premiere signaled her retreat, her credibility damaged by her failed attempt to discredit Sophia. Yet Sophia, ever cautious, remained vigilant, knowing Hollywood's fickle nature could turn triumph into turmoil in an instant. Sophia stood at her workbench in her Echo Park studio, the morning sun streaming through the windows, illuminating rows of glass vials and dried flowers. Her deep brown skin glowed under the light, and her tightly coiled hair was pulled into a loose ponytail, a few curls framing her face. She wore a simple cream sweater and jeans, her hands moving with purpose as she organized samples for a new project. The success of Eterna had opened doors with offers pouring in from luxury brands and indie boutiques alike. But Sophia focused on her craft, creating scents that told stories just as her grandmother had taught her. Julian Pierce arrived, his white American features alight with energy, his sandy blonde hair catching the sunlight. He wore a tailored navy blazer over a white shirt, his blue eyes sparkling with pride as he set a stack of magazines on the workbench. "You're everywhere," he said, grinning. "Vogue Elle fragrance. Today they call Eterna, the scent of the year. You did it, Sophia." Sophia smiled, but her expression was tempered by humility. "We did it, Julian. This was as much your vision as mine. The way you tied the fragrance to the film and stood by me through all the noise made this possible." He stepped closer, his voice soft. "You're the heart of it, Sophia. I just helped you shine." The air between them crackled, a familiar tension growing with every shared moment. Their confession of love on the Malibu beach under the glow of a setting sun had shifted their relationship, but Sophia still grappled with its weight. Julian was Hollywood royalty, a man whose world was vast and unpredictable, while she was an outsider who'd fought for every inch of her place. Yet his unwavering support, his belief in her, had broken through her defenses, and she could no longer deny the depth of her feelings. They spent the morning reviewing the launch's success, analyzing sales data, and planning the next phase of Eterna's rollout. The fragrance was now available in select department stores, and Julian had secured a deal with a European distributor to take it global. Sophia, meanwhile, was fielding requests for custom scents, her inbox flooded with inquiries from celebrities and influencers. "It's overwhelming," she admitted, sitting on the studio's worn leather couch, a cup of coffee in hand. "I never thought I'd be here, Julian. I mixed scents in my apartment a year ago, hoping for a break." Julian sat beside her, his knee brushing hers. "You deserve every bit of this. You fought for it against Chloe, against the doubters. You're unstoppable." Sophia looked at him, her dark eyes searching his. "What about us? This success, the film, the fragrance, it's tied us together. But what happens now? Your world moves fast. Julian, I'm not sure I can keep up." He took her hand, his touch warm and steady. "You don't have to keep up. We move together." "I meant what I said in Malibu, Sophia. I love you. This isn't just about the project, it's about us, about building something real." Her heart raced, the sincerity in his voice melting her doubts. "I love you too," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm scared. This world, your world, it's not mine. What if it pulls us apart?" Julian's expression softened, and he pulled her closer, his hand cupping her cheek. "Then we make our own world. I've spent years chasing things that don't matter. You're what matters, Sophia. We'll figure it out together." The moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. Sophia's friend and industry insider, Lila, burst in, her curly hair bouncing as she waved her phone. "You guys need to see this," she said, her voice a mix of excitement and caution. "Chloe's back. This morning she posted a cryptic tweet hinting at a big reveal about Eterna. It's vague, but it's got people talking again." Sophia's stomach tightened, but she refused to let Chloe's shadow dim her light. "What's she saying now?" she asked, standing. Lila scrolled through her phone. "It's about hidden truths and the real story behind the scent. She's not naming names, but it's obviously aimed at you. My sources say she's pitching a tell-all interview to a tabloid, but no one's biting yet. Julian's jaw clenched, his protective instincts flaring. She's grasping at straws. The evidence is out there, your journals, the Fragrance Today article. No one's going to take her seriously. Sophia nodded, her resolve hardening. Let her try. I'm done playing defense. I'll keep proving her wrong if she wants to keep this up. They spent the afternoon strategizing, with Lila coordinating with her contacts to monitor Chloe's moves, and Julian reaching out to his PR team to reinforce Sophia's narrative. By evening, they'd crafted a plan to keep Eterna's momentum going, including a series of pop-up events where Sophia would share her story in person. People want to hear from you, Julian said. Your authenticity is what makes this special. As the sun set, they took a break, driving to a quiet cafe in Silver Lake. Over wine and candlelight, they talked about the future, not just the fragrance, but their lives. Julian shared his dream of producing smaller, more personal films, while Sophia spoke of opening her own perfumery, a space where she could teach others the art she'd learned from her grandmother. Their visions intertwined, a shared hope for a life built on creativity and love. Back in her studio, Sophia worked late that night, sketching ideas for a new scent, inspired by their journey. She thought of Julian's words, his touch, and how he'd stood by her through every storm. For the first time, she felt like she could belong in his world, not as an outsider, but as his partner. She smiled as she sealed a new vial, knowing Eterna was just the beginning. The success of Eterna had cemented Sofia Alvarez and Julian Pierce as a power couple in Hollywood, their names synonymous with creativity and resilience. The fragrance was a global sensation, sold out in stores from Los Angeles to Paris, its bottles displayed in sleek boutiques and department stores. The Starlit Dreams film was a box office hit, its romantic narrative amplified by the scent that had become its soul. Chloe Monroe's attempts to sabotage Sophia had faded into irrelevance, her credibility shattered by Sophia's evidence and the public's embrace of Eterna. The tabloids had moved on, and Chloe, once a fixture in Hollywood's spotlight, had retreated to smaller projects, her influence diminished. Sophia and Julian had moved into a new phase of their lives, both professionally and personally. They'd purchased a sprawling bungalow in Beverly Hills, a haven of mid-century charm, with a lush garden where Sophia could grow herbs and flowers for perfumery. The house blended their worlds. Julian's sleek, modern aesthetic mixed with Sophia's bohemian touches, from vibrant textiles to shelves of glass vials. Sophia stood in the garden one evening, her deep brown skin glowing under the fading light, her tightly coiled hair loose and catching the breeze. She wore a flowing white dress, a sprig of lavender tucked behind her ear, as she tended to a bed of jasmine. Julian joined her, his white American features softened by the twilight, his sandy blonde hair slightly tousled. He wore a linen shirt, rolled sleeves, and a glass of wine. "Look at this," Sophia said, holding up a jasmine blossom. "These are the ones I want to use for the next scent. Something softer, but still bold." Julian smiled, setting his glass down and wrapping an arm around her waist. "You're already planning the next masterpiece. Eterna's barely been out a month." She leaned into him, her voice warm. "I can't stop creating, Julian. It's who I am. And now with you, it feels like I can do anything." He kissed her forehead, his touch gentle. "You can, and I'll be right here cheering you on." Their life together had settled into a rhythm of love and collaboration. Sophia opened her perfumery in West Hollywood, a chic space where she crafted custom scents and taught workshops, passing on her grandmother's legacy. Inspired by their journey, Julian shifted his focus to producing passion projects, smaller films that told stories of heart and resilience. Together they built a legacy that transcended Hollywood's glitz, rooted in authenticity and love. But the shadow of their past lingered, a reminder of the battles they'd fought. Chloe had made one final attempt to stir trouble, releasing a statement through a minor blog claiming she'd been misunderstood in her feud with Sophia. The attempt fell flat, ignored by the press and public captivated by Sophia and Julian's story. Still, Sophia remained cautious, knowing the industry's volatility. She kept her journals locked in a safe, her evidence of authenticity, a shield against future attacks. One evening, as they stood on the balcony of their Beverly Hills home, the city lights twinkling below, Sophia handed Julian a small, elegant bottle. Its label read, "Pierce, a new fragrance she'd created in secret." The scent was warm and complex, with cedarwood bergamot and a hint of rose, a tribute to their love, strength, and journey. "This is for you," she said, her dark eyes shining. "It's us, but it's you too, the man who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Julian took the bottle, his expression soft with awe. He sprayed it, inhaling deeply, and his eyes closed as the notes enveloped him. "Sophia," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "This is incredible. It's like you bottled our story." She smiled, stepping closer. "That's what I do. I tell stories with sense, and this one's ours forever." He pulled her into his arms, the city sprawling beneath them, a canvas of dreams they'd conquered together. "Forever," he echoed, his lips brushing hers. They stood there wrapped in each other, and the scent of Pierce the world at their feet. The challenges of Hollywood, the whispers of doubt had forged them into something more substantial. A partnership built on trust, creativity, and love. As the stars emerged above, Sophia knew their story was far from over. They'd create new scents,